has forgiven you for. The things that you've done. Most of us should be in jail. The things that we've done and just hadn't been caught. And God has forgiven us. And then we won't forgive our brother and sister. That's why folk ain't in church today. That's why folk just don't love God. That's why folk just hold hatred in their heart. And just walking around just so unhappy. It's because of unforgiveness. I guarantee you. Somewhere they haven't forgiven somebody. Somewhere. I guarantee you that's what it's about. Amen. But as Christians, we're supposed to just forgive automatically. You say, oh, come on. Yes, we are. We're supposed to. We're supposed to have that in us to do. Christ-like, remember last week we were talking about putting on Christ? If He forgave us, we have to be able to forgive one another. Sometimes our prayers are even hindered for a lack of forgiveness. Lord, why don't you hear my prayer? Why aren't you hearing me? Well, maybe it's because of lack of forgiveness. If you look at Mark 11 and 25, it says, and when you stand praying, forgive. I'll let you get there. And when you stand praying, forgive. If you have aught against any, that your Father also, which is in heaven, may forgive you your trespasses. But if you do not forgive, verse 26, neither will your Father, which is in heaven, forgive you your trespasses. I mean, Jesus was very blunt about that thing. He's not even playing. I mean, he's not meant to meet in any words. If you don't forgive, I can't forgive you, or my Father won't forgive you. You know? So it's important that we get that off of us. Get that out of us. Jesus wasn't even free to die until He asked His Father to forgive him. Look at Luke 5 and 34. And it says, Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is when Jesus was on the cross, dying. And they parted His raiment and cast lots. Jesus defeated the enemy because He refused to hold a grudge. Look at this. Listen to this. Jesus defeated Satan because He refused to hold a grudge against the people that had spit on Him, the people that had beat Him and crucified Him. And He had to ask for that forgiveness before He died. That was the key. He couldn't do it after He was resurrected because He was a different man then. He wasn't man anymore. But He did it while He was on the cross, before He died. He had to ask for forgiveness. You understand that? He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. If He would have done it when He was resurrected, it wouldn't have been the same. Because He was a different man then. Different. He was a resurrected man. He's what you and I are going to be when we come out of the grave. He didn't hold a grudge against anybody. Now, So how should we act as Christians? We should forgive because unforgiveness causes us to be bitter and unhappy with no joy or peace. Unforgiveness allows Satan to access your heart through that unhealed place. You allow Satan to come in if you don't forgive. And he's looking for that. A lot of times we say, well, I'm not out in the world doing all of this stuff. And all you have to have in your heart is a little bit of unforgiveness. And Satan will be right there. Just a little bit. He'll be right there. Having you to have no joy, no peace. See, this is no love. Don't care about nothing, nobody. Not really. I mean, because a lot of facade, what's the word, facade? It's all put on within the church. Not real stuff. No real love. No real peace or joy. It's just an act. Yeah, I know. This is a tough one. Come in. Yeah. Ephesians 4:31 and 32 says, just let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. We got to forgive one another. We can't hold a grudge. You may say that I have forgiven him or her, but I just can't forget it. Seeing that you still remember what was done doesn't mean that you haven't forgiven or that you have unforgiveness in your heart. In your heart, you may have forgiven. In your heart, if you don't hold a grudge or hold resentment or hold anger, you have forgiven. You know, and I used to think, well, if you can't forget it, you still hold on to it. But no, I'm going to screw something to you right now. Do you believe that Jesus has forgotten? No. Let me ask you this way. Do you believe that Jesus has forgiven mankind? Answer me. Yes. But every day, I'm sure he looks in his hands and he sees the reminder of the holes and in his hands and the nails in his feet. And it makes him, help him remember. But he has forgiven us. Now, what he tells us to do, he even tells us to remember what these things, that what he has done. But he doesn't hold the grudge. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or he's not holding us responsible, but he still remembers. That's why sometimes you won't be able to forget, but you can't hold anybody responsible. You have to be able to forgive in your heart. Does that make sense? Does it really? Forgiveness, that word forgiveness really just means that you have given up your right to punish somebody or someone by not holding a grudge.